Hello and welcome to Journeys and Journals. I'm Bernie Martin Beck and I get to interview the most fascinating people in town, in the entire state of Jefferson. And well, I picked this up today and it said old stuff. That's basically what we're about. How were things when you were a girl? When you were a kid, what were how'd you do Christmas? How did you do so many things? So that's why I've invited my guest. I'd like you to meet, and your name is?
Sue Niles.
Sue, welcome to Journeys and Journals. You've been around for a few years.
Oh, I've been in Grants Pass for over 50 years, 60 years.
Wow. And I met your daughter today, and what a privilege. She was bragging about you.
Oh.
I
must speak to her about that.
And you are?
Carol Ransom.
Carol, you know, when I met you, your smile was winsome, but then when you started telling me about your mom, I thought, I've got to meet this lady. We were in the Wrinkle in Time, which is a fitting and proper name for a show like this, as we all have these smile wrinkles that we're just so proud of. Wrinkle in Time is a store that's, well, do you have any background on the store itself?
I know that they support children in abuse situations.
It's a charity group that takes consignment items, and of course I'm sure they'd like you to give them some things too. It's a wonderful place, but that's where I found out about you.
As a Wrinkle in Time.
Exactly, and we love it, don't we? I wouldn't go back for anything. I mean, it was tough being 20-something.
I have never been able to understand why people get so enthused over these old things.
Speaking of old things, you brought a few of them to show off. What is it?
Well, that's a bell. It was in my husband's family for many years. You used it to hang on a cow or a horse and turn them loose to eat in the pasture. When you wanted them, you listened for the bell to ring so you knew where to find them.
And how old do you think this is?
Well, my husband remembered us as a boy in the early 20s, and he had no idea where it came from.
It's a beautiful bell with such a...
It has some commemorative printing on it. I forgot.
1878. Isn't that fantastic? And such a beautiful... It has a cross on it, like
we knew nothing about it, so I don't know where it came from.
The cows come home. Where was he a kid?
Well, he traveled too. He came from Michigan to Montana, and I first remember the bell in western Montana by Glacier Park was where I got it, was where we were when we were first married. So.
And married for how many years?
Oh dear, 72 I think.
No, 62.
We were married in 32.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
That's before I was born.
Yes, dear. You and a lot of other people I know.
And you celebrated how many years of 60-some years of marriage? And now you're a widow.
Yes, I've been a widow quite a while now.
Living here in Southern Oregon.
It's the most wonderful place to live in the whole world.
You heard it here. The state of Jefferson is...
The state of Jefferson includes part of California and Oregon. And as I say, my son got interested into it because he said, you try to do something in Northern California and that in Southern California they don't know you exist. And then they discovered that in Southern Oregon, if you get north of Eugene, nobody knows you exist. So they wanted to start a new state, but it never got started.
The very day it was about to start, war broke out.
Yes.
You forget everything
Yeah.
and fight the war.
Pat always thought they'd pick it up again someday.
Well, maybe this is the day.
Maybe.
Pat was your son?
Yes.
Went to high school?
He graduated from Grants Pass High School in 51.
And how
joined the Navy.
And joined the Navy. And my husband graduated in 50 and joined the Navy.
Yeah.
Doug, who knows? They may have been on the same ship.
Good.
Pat never got on a ship.
Oh, he
he
didn't?
got into the Air Force and they put him in the air.
Oh,
I
He
mean,
was in
into
Navy.
the air branch of the Navy. Yeah, and was an aerial photographer.
fascinating.
He came home and went back to college and became a forester. And that's how come he lived in Mount Shasta. He worked for the Hearst Publications, who owned timber in Northern California.
I understand they've got a beautiful home there, the Hearst family.
Oh, the Hearst, that's not open to the public. That was a Hearst private plantation of some kind, gorgeous thing.
Yeah, a little mountain
Yeah, but
hideaway.
Pat's gone now, and his family, his wife has remarried, very wonderful, good friend of his, and they had 4 children. The son is in the Naval Air Force.
And they all call you Grandma.
No, nobody calls me Grandma.
Well, what are
I'm
they?
Sue. Excuse me. Some of the real young ones, the mothers can't stand it, and they call me Grandma Sue.
Okay.
But I told my grandchildren there's nothing disrespectful about my name.
You heard it here, folks.
Yes, I am Sue to everybody that I know.
Well, okay, Sue, I may have a little trouble adjusting, these new ways of these young people.
But you talk about these old things,
Yes.
and I like to enumerate things that did not exist when I was a child, that you take for granted. Band-Aids,
No Band-Aid.
ballpoint pens,
Okay.
zippers.
What?
Yeah,
No
we didn't have zippers.
I didn't know there was a time before zippers.
Oh, yes. And so many things like that that we have today that we don't even think about them.
Well, what was the first car you saw?
The what?
Car.
Oh, my goodness. The neighbors had a car. I rode in it once. But my family were kind of poor people, and I don't remember having a car until I was 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
But we had horses.
And did you ride?
Well, you had to ride.
I mean, you didn't wait for somebody to bring a buggy or something.
No, I could go out and catch a horse and bring it in and saddle it and go to the neighbors to visit if I wanted to.
Or to school? How did you get to school?
Well, you rode a horse to school.
And this is up in Montana?
Yes.
In the dead of winter?
Well, in the wintertime, sometimes they'd get a sled. We'd all ride in the sled, but they didn't like to have the horse have to stand out there in the schoolyard all day.
So, did you ever have a buffalo robe on a sled?
No.
I got up in Montana, just north of Montana into Canada.
Yeah, you mentioned Plentywood, and I know where that is.
They had buffalo robes. They'd take the hay wagon and put runners on them.
Well, they were pretty much collector's items. As a little girl, you could still find a few old white buffalo horns laying around on the prairie, but it had been a long time since there'd been any live buffalo.
Wow. Now, how do you keep yourself busy in a day here in your...
I don't keep busy. She takes care of me.
And you're just ready for TV at a moment's notice. I love that.
Yeah.
But you
Well-
don't watch much TV.
No, part of it is because I don't hear well and I don't see well. And the other one is I'm just not too much interested in all this hullabaloo that goes on.
Well, we have at Wrinkle in Time, our TV's a little different because we don't have commercials but we have stories about people like you. And I heard you say something just before we went on camera, and I thought, oh, I want to put that on. Can you remember what I was so excited about your mom's? She went to a birthday party for an oldster, right?
Well, Margaret Williams and I had been friends for years, and she went to Eugene to be near her children, and I got this letter that on New Year's Eve they were having her 90th birthday party. So my 2 daughters bundled me up in the rain on New Year's Eve, and we went to Eugene to the birthday party.
For one of the older...
And I am older than she is.
Your birthday party was a huge success. Her birthday party.
Yes, she had. I was amazed that there were so many little tots because my family's scattered and I don't get to be around the little great-grandchildren.
Right. Well, now there's lots about you I want to know. I want to know about your bells. How many bells do you own?
Oh, I have over 100.
And
Most of them now are packed up in boxes, but I used to have a place where I could display them and dust them and look at them. And
well,
I chose
but you're
a bell.
special.
I chose a bell as my emblem because a bell, once rung, can ring again.
It surely can.
It can also call you in for messages. It can express danger, and it expresses love.
Oh, yes.
Bells say many things.
Well, you have how many bells? Over 100?
Over 100. And they are some cut glass, there's crystal, there's beat up old bells. People gave them to me. I didn't buy them.
Okay.
I don't collect them, they accumulate.
And
But every time somebody comes, they'd go, I have bells from Europe. A friend made a trip to Europe and she brought me back a bell from Germany.
everybody's.
I have bells from Mexico. I mean, they just brought them to me.
Now, this one's so tiny, it reminds me of a thimble. What is it?
I can't see it anymore. It says Merry Christmas on there.
Oh, good.
And I think that inside, eventually, I wrote who gave it to me, and I can't read it anymore. So,
Well, it is lovely to have a collection of things that you can show off.
well, you treasure them, as I say. You pick them up and clean them, and you think, oh, yeah, Mildred gave me that. I remember that.
And she caressed it. Did you notice that? Now, you want to tell stories on your mom? She's active, busy. Oh, what's the snowmobile?
Oh, I had never ridden on a snowmobile. And
I never have either, but
I keep thinking I wanted to write a parody, but I couldn't find the original. Well, on the first day of Christmas, my
Yeah.
daughter said to me, we're going up the mountain and cut a Christmas tree.
very
But we all did, their husbands and I, we went up, and up towards Lake of the Woods, and the snow turned out to be about 3 or 4 feet deep, which we hadn't expected. And there were lots of people cutting Christmas trees. And they took me up a ways, and they said, well, this snow's pretty hard to walk in. You can't see, you get down in it, you know. So they kind of tromped out a spot and said, why don't you stand here in the sunshine, and we'll go get the tree and come back to you. Well, there was a trail going up past me. And a nice man stopped with his snowmobile, and he said, would you like to go for a ride? And I said, I sure would. So he said, climb on. And I climbed on behind him, and we went for a ride.
Oh, bravo.
And I remember one of the son-in-laws is standing over here, and he says, I'll bring her right back. And it was fun. I can understand now why people do that.
Now, what did you think as you saw your mother going off into the white cloud?
That's my mom.
It's not that far to Reno, but we don't even know him.
No, I don't know. It was kind of good looking.
If you're watching Better Life Television and you were that guy in the snowmobile, thanks a lot. Thank you for picking it. You've got stories, and I've only heard a few of them, but I'd love to just sit by your chair and listen. Tell me.
Well, that's good, because often I start something and I discover nobody's listening. They've heard it so many times they don't have to listen.
We refer to my mom as the Pink Lady, and we lived out in Fruitdale for a number of years, and she walked, rain or shine, snow or sleet, about 2 miles every day, and she wears pink a lot, and she known as the neighbors as the Pink Lady. Well, we now have moved up north of town on Scenic Drive, and we're still walking 2 miles a day.
And she's still known as the Pink Lady?
Yes, probably.
Well, I don't know. I still wear pink.
Oh.
As you notice, I wear pink.
You-
I love pink.
Well,
The only thing about walking up on Scenic Drive is that no matter where you walk, you got to go uphill to get home.
It is a beautiful part of the world. It is. And walking has kept you so spry?
Well, I haven't always walked. We used to live out Robe River Highway 4 or 5 miles, and I had an acre of ground that I played with. I was busy. Well, then my husband passed away, and I moved up by her, and there's no housework to do because there's no just me in it, and I didn't have yard, and I was taking care of the other daughter's dog, and I had him on a leash, and I thought he needs to exercise.
Oh, absolutely.
So I got up in the morning. I still had boxes to unpack. Get up early in the morning and come on, Red Dog, we'll go for a walk. And I discovered that when I got back from the walk, I not only felt better physically, I felt better emotionally.
Ooh.
And so after Red Dog went home, I kept it up, and that was 10 years ago.
More.
Oh, my
So you
goodness.
just get up in the morning and dress and go for a walk, no matter what.
Well, I have a T-shirt that says walk, walk, walk. And
Okay.
that's your motto, isn't it?
Yeah, you just get up and do it. It's just part of getting up.
Now, while we were in Wrinkle of Time, I was talking to our friend, and she said they get out at Galice and walk every day, rain or shine.
Yeah.
And
We
Gwen,
walked right through this storm. In fact, we just missed by a few seconds having a tree fall on us. Was that Christmas Eve?
A week ago to, the windstorm before Christmas anyway.
Yeah, we had a big windstorm, and we'd walked up the road and turned around and was walking back. Then we'd walked up this side and turned around and walking, and all at once I said, gee, a little limb hit me on the head. Carol says, the wind's blowing pretty hard. Maybe we should move along. And about that time, wham, bang, and behind us, a tree about that big around fell across the road, knocked the power line out, and flash, flash. We never looked back.
oh, good.
We didn't know that the tree had gone down behind us. But had it been a few minutes earlier, we'd have been right there. It
And
was
the power line,
Oh, it's far
that's-
from here to that camera behind
us.
us that the tree hit the ground, and it's that big around.
Storms really change your life in a hurry.
Yes,
Uh,
seconds make a difference.
just
Even
where
a
you
wrinkle
are.
in time, a second makes a difference.
Oh, listen to that, a wrinkle in time. I love it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful way to, instead of throwing things away, we saw a table today that had a little spot, like a little addition out here, and then the table. And you're saying, well, what in the world was that for? And everybody, of course, had their own idea of what it was for, but I think we decided it wasn't for a cup or a glass. It was a place to put your ashtray kind of away so the smoke wasn't. Aren't you glad we're not a bunch of
Smoking
smokers?
stands, they were called.
Is that right?
Yes.
When were they popular?
I don't know. My dad smoked a pipe. My husband smoked.
Well, it was in,
Sometimes they had a metal ashtray in them. Sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they had a place to lay a pipe. Sometimes they were just usually had a little handle up here so you could move it around. It was just a smoking stand.
well, now next Tuesday, go in and tell Gwen it's a smoking stand. Oh, I invite all of you to go meet Gwen. She has such history. Her
Yeah, I went
mother-
to school with Gwen.
You did. Now,
The woman that runs Wrinkle in Time manages it.
on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She and I went to high school together
And that was where?
here in Grants Pass
Yeah,
High.
she went to grade school down at Galice, which was
Oh,
one-
Maryland? Maryland?
No,
Oh, the other gal,
Gwen, yeah, Gwen Thomas was her name then.
And they had one teacher on. They planned such intriguing things. They had such a wide variety. Remember the story? Some Hollywood actress was going to be coming down on Rogue on one of the river trips, and they all went out, and all they saw was somebody with a scarf tied around their head, and so much for the Hollywood.
I remember when she was here, but right now I couldn't tell you who it was.
You've got stories about living watching the years go by, what has been the greatest thing about passing your 90th birthday?
Oh, I don't know. The family gave me a surprise party. I knew that the family was gathering and it would probably be my birthday, but I had no idea they'd planned anything other than just family. And Russ, the other son-in-law, they took me for a ride, and he has hot air balloons, and so we went down to where he was going to have the hot air balloons in the park for the children that day, and I was with them, and then he took me for a walk to see all the bears on 6th Street, and what became of Nellie? Well, she had something to do, and when he thought they had everything ready at the house, he took me home, and here were friends, hundreds of people. It seemed like the house was full of people from all over. People I hadn't seen and people I had seen. It was the most wonderful thing.
Oh, and now imagine what your 100th birthday party will be like. I hope I'll get invited.
Well, I don't bother to look that far ahead.
You don't, but we know now that you have friends who've turned 100.
Oh, well, most of my friends are over 80.
Uh-huh.
And
I keep making new friends all the time because I don't ever want to run out.
I make new friends all the time.
Here we are, meeting today. I'm so
Your
glad.
hands are colder than mine.
They sure are. If you have a recollection of the first 10 years of your life and the next 10 and the next 10, what would you say were the greatest things that you remember about being
About my life?
1 to 10?
Just a kid. Teenage years are hard for everybody.
10 to 20.
And you have your children and you're busy. I had 3 children, and it was different raising children in those days than it is now. You stayed home and took care of them, and you washed their clothes and so on and so forth.
Wash their clothes on the washboard?
Well, I managed to get a washing machine before I had too many. And so you're busy. Times are hard. You watch your pennies. We moved. We came to Grants Pass. And there again, the youngsters have gone to a different period in their life. They get married and leave. And here I am. So I started selling Avon.
Oh!
And in those days, the Avon lady went up and knocked on doors and got acquainted with people.
And what did she say?
Avon's calling. I have a free sample for you today. May I come in and let you choose your lipstick? And you went in, and she looked at the women were home.
Right.
And glad to see somebody. And I sold Avon for over 25 years.
That's a
In the Fruitdale area, from the county line to Fruitdale, Carnahan.
Oh,
I knew everybody, their children. I watched their children grow up.
oh my.
And I have been very proud to the fact that even though I was their Avon lady, if I run into one of them now and see them, I get a big hug and they're so glad to see me.
Oh,
I made friends.
I wonder if Bernice Beck was my mother-in-law. She was on, oh dear, Woodland Park Road.
Yeah.
Now, you want to say just a little bit about your mom and what an incredible privilege it's been. Because when you started telling me about it, you just beamed from ear to ear.
Well, she's just an energetic person. She bowls.
I almost made a new jacket to wear to the birthday party, but it ended up with her doing it.
No, she did.
Ah.
She made most of it.
And
I
you-
helped, but I mean, she
But
made most
you
of
can't
it.
see, you have to feel.
But you still sew. Feeling, why not?
Sewing was my life. I made every stitch of clothes my 3 children wore.
Oh my, and they had zippers in them because it was,
Oh, yeah,
they'd been
zippers.
invented by then.
My son got married, was in the Navy, and his wife was learning to sew, and she decided she'd like to make him a shirt. And she told me that she asked him if she made a shirt, would he wear it? And he said, I never wore anything but a homemade shirt till after I left home.
Oh my,
And he wanted it made curved in at the waist and fitted here and fitted there.
and she said, I'm,
Well, she managed.
Did she?
She's very, Very great person she is.
Oh, wonderful. Well, yeah, we tried our hand at sewing, and I never mastered it, but it was fun. That little Singer sewing machine had a little banty weight or whatever, feather weight.
Well, I learned to
Very
sew.
collectible.
That's what they tell
Yeah, I
me.
would
They're
turn the
worth
little
more.
crank over here. Well, my mother taught me to sew by making doll clothes this way, by hand.
Uh-huh.
She taught me how to cut out a pattern for a pair of pants and a shirt to go on your doll.
Ah. Do you remember what it was your mom said? I said, let's put that on TV.
No, I can't remember.
But she said,
Oh, that was the monkeys.
yes.
The
The
little
monkeys.
monkeys. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Right.
Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So I try to keep my mouth shut, but I don't always succeed.
Because she's blind and deaf. Keep talking. We love it. We love it. You just give me such joy just to have met you and see the vitality and the spring in your step. You've been on a hot air balloon.
Oh yes, lots of times.
You've been on a snowmobile. What's next?
I don't know. I watched this program that says Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yes.
And somebody said, if you got $1 million, what would you do with it? You know, an old lady, what would she? I said, what I would do would buy a ticket on that spaceship that's going up in a few years. I want to go into space.
You heard it here, folks, on Better Life Television.
I'm not interested in your antiques. I want to go to space. The world is progressing.
I love it. Thank you so much for being my guest. You're so forward-looking, and God's good. Hey, I'm Bernie Martin Beck saying thank you ever so much for tuning in and in just relishing the senior years of our lives.
Well,